I'm Jeff. I'm from the Cairngorms National Park. I'm a town planner. So I think planning is brilliant. Planning prevents urban sprawl. It considers issues from new nuclear power stations to the smallest house extension. It affects all our lives. But as Agnesa was saying, it's very difficult to get the public's views on that, particularly when you're a policy planner. It's easy if you're proposing a housing development next to someone's house and they don't like it, they'll have a view on that and they'll let you know that directly. But we want to know people's views more generally about what they like about the Cairngorms National Park, what's important to them. And it's really hard to get that sort of feedback. So this has been really, really interesting for us. I'm going to sort of spoiler alert start at the end. And well, I guess it's already given the game away anyway on this. But we basically worked with Agnesa to create a game, and we've held one session. We have 36 people in a room in Aviemore, different tables like this, playing the game for 2 hours, giving their time. And when they left, there was such a real buzz in the room. It was amazing how they felt. Not what you'd expect when we have a public sector type meeting like that with the public. And there's these sort of TripAdvisor style reviews, just fantastic, people having fun while talking about planning. That's, it's unheard of. I might have that fun, but I don't normally expect the public to do so. So it was really exciting, and we got 5 out of 5 from over 30 of the 36 people who were there. So it was brilliant. There's a couple more there. And also the fact that we were discussing the issues with each other, that was being recorded, and we were listening to those conversations afterwards and analysing those. And that's what this was about, really. It wasn't about the outputs of the game and what choices they made. It was about the discussions they had all the way through those 2 hours while playing it. And the AI stuff I don't understand, that Adam will talk about, allowed us to suck that information out from all these different tables and get some conclusions and understanding which we could use, and I'll talk that through a little bit today. And all through a game, and there's the Otter. So the game we played, Agnes already showed some of the cards from, and we created our own game, and I'll explain a little bit about that to make it work for us. It was possible, to be honest, it was quite a resource-heavy thing to do, but we've had funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund for a big Cairngorms 2030 project. We want to be the first net zero national park in the UK, and as part of that, it was about exploring innovative ways of working with people, trying to talk and to get the views of people we don't normally hear from. We really think we succeeded through this project. It gave us something meaningful to go out and say, we really want to be involved in this, it'll be worth your time, and that proved to be correct. And those groups that we perhaps haven't spoken to before are now more engaged, and hopefully we can involve them in future projects. So just go back to the beginning. We deal with really large documents, and it is therefore really hard to consult on. So we have a partnership plan. It's our Bible for everything that has to happen in the national park. It's 172 pages. It's got 35 policies. It's not an easy document to people to understand. We wanted to get across that this is how we have to decide what local planning policies we'll have. We have to take this and work out what policies to have. So we wanted to find out what people thought about that. So we used that to create our goals. And out of those 35 policies, each with a couple of pages of text, we created 11 cards and different goals. And that's a real challenge for me, because I like to write lots of text and give lots of nuance and ifs and buts about things. And I had to bring that down to a keyword and a sentence to explain those goals, which we did, and that's been really useful for me and really useful for us in other work that we're doing too. But what was great was that when people, so the first part of the game in their teams of 5 was to choose 4 goals out of the 11, and they had to discuss those and together collaboratively on their table decide on 4, and they may have different opinions on which ones are most important, and there were the discussions that they had that the transcripts downloaded and we could understand and get information from later. And it worked really well, and people got them, and they got the issues, the issues I think about all the time. They got them just from the information on here and their own understanding, and that's what we wanted to know about. There's a national planning framework from the Scottish Government. It's got 33 policies in. It's a 160-page document. Again, we want to know what people think about that. But who's going to read that unless you're really involved, unless you're the chairman of one of the local community councils, or you're a developer, or you've got a real issue, or lots of time on your hands. So again, we use that to create our policy cards. Each one represents one of the policies from the national framework, and again, we've managed to bring that down to a punchy sentence and a title. And then also this is the game architecture that Agnesa was talking about. It made me think and us think about how the policies relate to the other policies and what effects they have, which isn't something we always do. Because it's planning, all the policies are positive in theory. We want to achieve all of these things. So most things are positive, but some things affect other things more than others. This one in the middle, supporting renewable energy, and these represent the goals. And if you're supporting renewable energy, then you're helping this net zero goal, you're helping the wellbeing economy, but you may be having a negative impact on ecology. You think about wind turbines and migrating birds and things like that. So that, and this also held discussion because it made the tables talk about, well, I don't know if it is positive for the wellbeing economy, and as long as they were talking about these subjects, that was fantastic, and we were learning things about what they thought, whether they agreed with what we were saying or not in terms of the impacts of the policies. And out of all that, we've got to create a local development plan document. Again, it's massive, it's a big chunky document, lots of stuff in there, and we're at the stage where we're gathering all the evidence we can on every topic, writing massive documents in order to ensure that we understand everything. So, for instance, in terms of housing, there's lots of information and statistics about the housing need and affordability of housing and all those issues, but also in there, from engagement, including the gamification, we're now able to put in, we know that residents feel that housing is a top issue for the National Park. We know that they feel that they want that to be affordable housing, well-designed housing. So that really adds to our evidence, and when we're pushing for policies that seek high levels of affordable housing from developers, for instance, we can show that from this game and other consultations that we've done, as well as from the statistics, which is brilliant. So that's a really positive outcome. So these are some of the game cards I guess I talked about there. What was great about what the game is, effectively they came into the room, we gave them a quick briefing on why they were there, the fact we were recording them, we wanted them to just be open and have discussions, and then they just got on with it themselves. And they learn how to play the game. The Otter is a fantastic tool for everyone to have a chance to have their say, whether they were people who started off in the room being very loud, or they were quiet, or whatever. They all had their opportunities, and it became very sort of fair in how it played. Let's play. They just got on with it, and we had a facilitator for each table. I was one of those. But I had very little to do apart from enjoy the conversations, really, which was fantastic. Here we are. This is one of the events that we held. So you can see there's lots and lots of people in the room, lots of noise, lots of things going on. On each table there's a 360 microphone, and that's connected to the computer. So that's hearing all the conversations, and it's creating transcripts, and then the AI can analyse that and give us the feedback and pull all that together, which would be very difficult if we were having to sort of have people on every table writing that down, and then analysing that themselves. So I think it's a mixture of old-fashioned gameplay and modern AI technology that seems to be giving us the moment where we can start to make this happen. This is pretty tight in this room, and we did, it wasn't perfect, the transcripts. It needs a bit of human interaction to understand the information, but it worked pretty well. And this was a second game we did after we had the game with Agnesa, which had all the really good equipment there, and we bought these microphones off Amazon for £12, and they really did a really decent job. And we're still using those just to record all our meetings that we have in the office now as well. So I was on the planning side, but for our comms team, this was really, really a good opportunity. We started learning about how to recruit better, and these are the sort of aims they had. Reach members of less heard from groups, people we may not normally hear from, bring a mix of people into a room and let them interact, and people we haven't engaged with before. And often I go to these events and there's familiar faces, I see the same people. And I didn't, those of us from the National Park didn't know anyone who was in that room, which was brilliant. Half of them under 44. I mean, I know that's not very young, but if, you can imagine we get a lot of grey-haired people, so we have an older community in the National Park anyway. So to have half the people under 44 is fantastic. We even had some young people, under 25, which is very unusual, but it was brilliant to see. We did have quite a range of people with different health conditions because we went out to particular groups and organisations to ensure we had that mix, and that blended and worked really well, and we had a really big range of people in terms of their economic situations as well. So we felt that it was quite representative of the national park, a lot more representative than what we normally have in a public consultation event. So the way the game works, at the end, when they've been talking about the goals and they've been talking about the policies, they score these, and we'll be doing that later today. And it's to see whether the policies that they chose, help to improve and give positive outcomes to the goals that they've chosen. And it worked pretty well. The game, it actually did work as a game, which is brilliant. But more importantly, it was another opportunity for them to be discussing what they thought about these different issues and reflect on that, perhaps, and definitely give more insights. And we certainly found that they were really collaborating together, even though there were definitely people with different sorts of rooms, different sort of views who'd come into the room with particular ideas and notions. You did feel they'd changed opinions to a certain extent, and we got some feedback on that. So that was the outcome for them, was the game. But I hope that they learn more about how planning works as well. And I've certainly had a few comments saying, well, your job's pretty hard, isn't it? You've got to balance, do we want to support nature, or do we want more houses? Do we want more retail, or do we want more quiet spaces? So I hope they learn as well about planning. We learned a lot about planning and how to try and make it simpler. And I think, as you can hopefully tell, I was pretty enthusiastic about it, and we hope to continue to use it for our planning consultation and in other ways as well. And improve the national park. That's it. Thank you.